Welcome to the sleepy heaven. Let go of the day's worries and embrace a peaceful state of mind. I'm your host, John, and I'm so glad you've chosen to join me tonight. In this episode, we'll delve into a soothing retelling of one of Aesop's timeless fables, The Astronomer, a gentle reminder to cherish the present moment and the world around us. So, settle in, take a deep breath, and let's ease into relaxation together.
Close your eyes and take a deep, grounding breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest as life flows through you. Now, allow your mind to drift to a moment of serene comfort. Picture yourself in a place of peace, a lush garden, a gently swaying hammock, or the warm sands of a beach under the moon. As you gaze at the infinite stars above, let their light infuse you with a deep sense of tranquility. Feel how the vastness of the universe puts life's daily worries into perspective. Those small bumps on the road of life, the temporary troubles, they fade into the background under the grandeur of the cosmos. Now, turn your awareness to your own being. Know that just as every star holds its unique place in the sky, so too do you hold an irreplaceable space in this vast existence. You are as significant and essential as the universe itself. In this moment, in this infinite stillness, allow yourself to simply be. No expectations, no burdens, just you. Rest in the truth of your wholeness, in the comfort of this sacred space you've created. Here, beneath the stars, is where our journey to peace begins. Breathe deeply and let go. Once upon a time, there lived an astronomer deeply enchanted by the night sky. He would spend sleepless nights gazing at the constellations shimmering in the darkness above him. He resided in a small village in ancient Greece, where the mountains rose up from the sea. The hillside was dotted with tiny houses, forming a constellation of their own. But even though he lived in a wonderful place, he had a singular passion. Once he was awestruck by the beauty of the heavens. It didn't take long before the astronomer cared about nothing else. The astronomer lived in a modest white house, simply furnished with a bed, a wardrobe, a desk, and a chair. He didn't need much else, since all he did at home was sleep and record constellations while seated at his desk. He had no need for a table or chairs for guests, as he rarely entertained a friend or relative. He had no time for such things when there was always more of the starry sky to uncover. What wonders might still lie above? His purpose was to help people navigate, measure time, and understand the seasons, he thought. In his dreams, all he saw were the stars. He wished he could float into space to better observe the tiny points of light that were the focus of his life's work. The little corner of Greece where he lived was blessed with clear skies, and the astronomer wanted to explore as much of them as possible. Each night, he wandered farther from the village, his feet treading over the rocky terrain, seeking to view the stars from different perspectives. In the village, the townspeople farmed, tended their gardens, and fished every day. Everyone who lived there knew everything about everyone else. And so the astronomer felt that there was far more possibility in the heavens. To make the most of his nighttime wanderings, the astronomer slept during the sweltering afternoons, while his friends and family enjoyed long meals together. At night, while they slumbered, he roamed the fields alone, climbing rolling hills and walking along rocky paths, his gaze always fixed skyward. When a storm broke and the rest of the village awoke, the astronomer would retreat to the solitude of his home to record the observations he had made the night before. Then he would drift off to sleep, dreaming of the night ahead. He was utterly absorbed by the world of galaxies and celestial bodies. To him, all the most thrilling discoveries happened at night. During the day, the light revealed everything. But when the night sky took over, so much remained a mystery. It was a challenge to uncover it all. He observed the passing of seasons through the stars, the shifting landscapes surrounding him while he slept. Since he only ventured out at night, the astronomer never noticed the blossoming flowers of spring or the rich, earthy aroma of autumn. Someone else, he thought, had already uncovered all there was to know about the land. What lay hidden in the night sky, however, was untapped potential. Secrets and unanswered questions waiting to be discovered. The astronomer watched Artemis hunt in the stars, seeking the gods of Olympus in the constellations. Sometimes, under the glimmer of the moon, he would visit the temple of Artemis to pay homage to the beauty shining in the sky above. The temple in his village had an open roof, which was perfect for stargazing. He scarcely noticed the architect's marble columns or carved statues, as he cared only for the creations above. One night, while the astronomer was out for his walk, gazing at the stars as usual, he admired how the Big and Little Dipper fit so perfectly together. But as he wasn't watching where he was going, he tripped over a log and found himself tangled in his robes, sprawled on the ground. His neighbor, hearing the commotion, came out to see what had happened. The astronomer chuckled at his own clumsiness and pulled himself together. As the neighbor helped him to his feet, he said, "My friend, why do you spend so much time looking at the stars? You have failed to see what is right in front of you." The astronomer laughed, thinking about the beauty of the stars and the night sky, the joy of gazing at worlds so far from his own. But perhaps his neighbor was right. Maybe he spent too much time looking up at the heavens, and not enough time appreciating the gifts he had been given on earth. The astronomer returned home and, for the first time since he was a child, fell asleep at night. He awoke in the morning to the village coming to life. The sounds of laughter and quiet chatter drifted on the warm breeze outside. At first, the astronomer felt a tinge of gloom. What wonders had he missed in the heavens last night? But as he got dressed and stepped outside, a slow smile began to spread across his face. The same neighbor who had helped him the night before invited him over for breakfast. There was delicious, freshly baked bread, crusty on the outside and soft within, along with hard cheeses and a steaming mug of strong coffee. How long had it been since the astronomer had tasted fresh bread, or enjoyed a cup of coffee shared with a friend? As they sat around the outdoor table, sipping their coffee, the astronomer recounted the events of the previous night to the neighbor's wife. When breakfast was finished, the couple decided to take him on a walk around the village. They were determined to help him experience everything they loved about their hometown. As they set off together down the lane, they asked him, "Doesn't the soft earth feel wonderful beneath your feet? Can you smell the fresh bread and coffee the other villagers are enjoying this morning?" The astronomer's senses came alive with delight. The aroma of breakfast filled the air, and he noticed how the ground beneath his feet was slightly soft yet firm, cushioning each step he took. In all the hours he had spent wandering, he had never realized how marvelous it could be to pay attention to the ground. Had he been this mindful the night before, perhaps he never would have tripped. They walked past a woman selling fruit from a little stand. "I haven't seen you in a while," the fruit seller called to the astronomer, waving him over. "Let's share some fresh juice together." She squeezed oranges into a cup, releasing the delicate and enticing floral scent of orange blossoms. When he took his first sip, the cool, sweet taste of the juice filled his mouth. "Yes, the stars at night are beautiful, but you can't drink the stars," he mused to himself. In that moment, the astronomer thought that the glittering constellations looked only half as sweet as this earthly delight. When the neighbors told the fruit seller of their mission to help him see the beauty of the town, she said they must visit her niece's garden. "If you're enjoying the wonders of Earth," she said, "it's the best place in town to do so. I'll show you the way," she added, closing up her stall in favor of a new adventure. As they walked down the lane, more and more of their neighbors came out to join them. They weren't used to seeing the astronomer out and about during the day, so each had a special spot they wanted to show him. The astronomer couldn't remember the last time he'd been around so many people. He had always chosen the quiet of night over the bustling noise of daytime. But now that he was truly listening, he could hear the music in his friends' voices. When the group arrived at the niece's garden, she welcomed them with open arms. "What an honor to have the great astronomer in my garden for the very first time," she said with a smile. Together, he and the townspeople admired the flowers. The niece pointed to a cluster of red blooms growing around a wooden archway. "These are special wildflowers created by Aphrodite," she told him. The astronomer stood under the arch, admiring the mix of red and green, woven with the brown wood overhead. The flowers smelled piney and slightly sweet, a fragrance he enjoyed immensely. Next, they admired a patch of beautiful purple irises. When the astronomer peered closely, he noticed the white circles surrounding the yellow centers that gave the flowers their distinctive name. They gazed at orange lilies and white orchids, immersing themselves in the fresh and fragrant air of the garden. When it was time to leave, the niece decided to join the rest of the neighbors on their walk around the village. Watching the astronomer experience these simple pleasures for the first time reminded everyone just how wonderful life on Earth could be. The astronomer strolled in the middle of the group as they left the heart of the village, continuing down the road toward the Temple of Apollo. The temple's pillars glittered in the sunlight. The astronomer noticed a shift beneath his feet as he stepped from the dark path onto the marble floor of the temple. The heat of the day was intensifying, and he appreciated the cool smooth ground beneath him and the roof above. It was quite different from the Temple of Artemis. He paused for a moment to stand still, his feet pressing into the marble as a gentle breeze wound its way through the pillars, keeping him cool in the temple's shade. Around him, the other townspeople explored the building, admiring the statues and carvings on the walls. The astronomer found joy in the simple act of staying still, letting the moment wash over him while the world moved around him. The astronomer thought perhaps one need not always be in motion. Sometimes it was best to take a break from work and study and simply enjoy existing in the moment. When he felt ready, he walked slowly around the walls of the temple, admiring the intricate details that great artists and architects had embedded into this special place used for community gatherings and for paying homage to the gods. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the group left the temple and gathered in the shaded village square for lunch. Each of them brought something to share: soft cheeses, leftover bread from the morning, roasted barley, and juicy olives. The astronomer savored each burst of flavor in his mouth. Before, he had rushed through meals, grabbing bites in between long hours of stargazing. Now, he appreciated taking the time to enjoy these delicious foods. How have I never taken the time to truly experience this before? He wondered. He ate slowly, delighting in the sweet and salty tastes mingling on his tongue, noticing how the crunchy barley and soft cheese complemented each other perfectly. When they had finished the main course, the fruit seller fetched a basket of her produce for dessert. The villagers drizzled the fruits with honey, making them even sweeter and more decadent. The astronomer tried a bite of each, reveling in the rich flavors. After the meal, the group strolled lazily back to their homes for a nap. They waved goodbye to one another, promising to meet again soon. Sleeping during the day was something the astronomer was accustomed to. But when he got home and lay down on his bed, he found he couldn't fall asleep. Instead, he focused on the soft sound of his breath, moving in and out of his body. He listened to the gentle twittering of birds outside, accompanied by the soft buzzing of bees. Through the open window, he caught the scent of flowers from the garden. A light breeze wafted in, carrying all the delightful aromas of fresh spices and greenery. He lay there, resting his body and allowing his senses to immerse themselves in the world around him. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, the astronomer heard a knock at the door. His neighbors had come to fetch him. There was one more thing they wanted to show him this evening. Together, they walked the winding path up the mountain beside the village. The path was narrower here, and the procession of townsfolk carried blankets and baskets on their heads. The evening breeze rustled the shrubs around them, and birds followed along above, curious about where the villagers were headed. The astronomer watched the clicking heels of the woman in front of him, and listened to the steady footsteps of the man behind him. His senses felt alive and heightened in a way he had never experienced before, not even at night. When they reached a plateau, they spread out the blankets and unpacked the food. Looking around, the astronomer realized that everyone had brought the finest things from their pantries. The farmer laid out fresh vegetables and meats. The fishermen unpacked salted herring and calamari, and boiled eggs were sliced and passed around. Everyone shared wine from an ornate glass jug. The people talked and laughed, but the astronomer sat quietly, taking it all in. He listened to the stories of his newfound friends, the lives he had so often ignored before. He noticed the way the trees swayed in the breeze, casting shadows on the rocks scattered across the mountainside. He could see the village below and the mountain peak above, and he relished the aromas of the different foods the villagers had prepared. Soon, the sun began to paint the sky in vibrant hues. In all his years of studying the stars, the astronomer had never appreciated their opening act. He had always waited impatiently for the sunset to finish and the night to arrive. But now that he had slowed down, he could admire each shade of yellow, pink, red, and purple as the sun dipped sleepily behind the mountain's peak. When the final rays of sunlight disappeared beneath the horizon, the villagers packed up the remaining food and folded their blankets, ready to head home for the night. But the astronomer stopped them. "Now I have something to show you," he said. His friends unfolded their blankets once more and lay down on the soft earth, watching the sky grow dark overhead. Glittering white and yellow stars began to emerge from the darkness, delighting the villagers as they watched from below. The astronomer had seen the stars countless times before, but he had never noticed how their bright light brought out the shadows of the trees, or how it heightened the contrast of the ground below. He lay back on his blanket, admiring each constellation as it revealed itself, one by one. He pointed them out to the villagers, who were grateful to share in his knowledge. "I understand why you like to walk at night," his neighbor said. "But isn't it also wonderful to be still under the stars?" The astronomer nodded in agreement. He realized that he didn't always need to be searching for something new, when so much beauty was already revealing itself around him every night. He wanted to take it all in fully, without rushing to discover the next thing. As they lay there, stargazing, the villagers began to feel their eyelids growing heavy. Yawns spread across the group, and they knew it was time to pack up their things and head home to bed. In a slow, careful line, they tiptoed down the mountain. The astronomer felt the path beneath his feet, noticing every pebble and twig he stepped over. The stars illuminated their way home, And as they walked, the villagers whispered about all they had seen in the sky above. When they reached the village square, one by one, the townspeople waved goodbye. They retreated into their homes, finding comfort on soft mattresses and under warm blankets. The astronomer, too, returned to his house. But instead of crawling into his bed, he brought a pillow and a blanket outside. He laid them on a soft patch of grass and rested his head. Tonight, he would dream of the stars again. But this time, he would fully understand their beauty. Slowly, he let his eyes close as the soft breeze and gentle hooting of owls lulled him to sleep. Under the glorious night sky,